Good evening, everyone. We are live with breaking news out of Atlanta, Georgia. There are reports coming to the studio that there was a loud explosion about 30 minutes ago in or near the Centennial Olympic Park in the heart of the Olympic Ring, a huge gathering place for commerce and camaraderie throughout the Games in Atlanta. You are currently watching live footage of the Olympic Village right now by one of our NBC News correspondents covering the Summer Olympic Games. We are watching this come in as you are, and this has only occurred in the last half hour or so. There will be a lot more than we know right now shortly as more correspondents speak with various people and officials on the telephone to understand and know more about what has happened. The Atlanta Police Department reports that there are several people injured, but because this is an ongoing situation that is developing as we speak, unfortunately, we do not have any specific numbers to inform you, the audience, about how many people have been killed or injured at this time. Yet, with a bomb or any weapon of mass destruction like this, there will be many injuries and casualties. We are showing you a videotape just sent into the studio by a local NBC news station in Atlanta covering the game, showing emergency vehicles arriving on the scene of this horrific explosion and mass chaos in and around the Olympic Park. These taped images demonstrate the kind of activity that is going on. Even though it is well beyond 1 o'clock in the morning, we will be covering this ongoing situation throughout the night, as this incident might be affecting some of you at home. Again, we have no idea the size of the explosion or the impact it has created, and the extent of injuries taking place, but police and emergency personnel are on the scene as we broadcast live right now, so sooner or later we will be receiving information about this terrifying event. Coming on the air right now is a spokesman with the Atlanta Police Department.
Hi, Francesca.
Hi, Officer Jenkins. What can you tell us about the ongoing situation at Centennial Park right now?
What I can tell you is that a little before 1 a.m. this morning, we received an anonymous 911 call warning that a bomb will explode in Centennial Olympic Park in Atlanta during the Olympic Games. The caller said there was a bomb in Centennial Park and that we had 30 minutes before the bomb went off. And then roughly 25 minutes after, a loud explosion occurred at the park next to a soundstage. We currently have one suspect in custody at this time, named Richard Jewell, who is a security guard working here at Centennial Park tonight. Richard Jewell discovered the bag underneath a bench and alerted Georgia Bureau investigation officers, who called in a bomb ordnance squad to investigate the suspicious bag that was leaning against the sound tower. Jewell and other security guards began clearing the immediate area so that a bomb squad could investigate the suspicious package. However, the bomb detonated 2 to 3 minutes into the evacuation before all the spectators could leave.
Because there was not much time to start the evacuation, do you have any estimate about the number of casualties due to the bomb?
Currently, we think about roughly 100 people are injured, but obviously, as the night develops, that number might shift up or down.
Thank you, Officer Jenkins, for all that you do, and we thank all of the Atlanta first responders tonight. Right now, we are going to talk with the NBC News correspondent and former FBI agent, Brad Garrett. What can you tell us about the situation now with the new information we have just learned?
Well, Francesca, what I can tell you is this. Based off the recent information and news about the bombing, it seems like the bomber Richard Jewell, or bombers, if he colluded with anyone else to execute this horrific attack, did not want to hurt anyone, but did want to make some sort of statement with this bomb, since he called a bomb threat 30 minutes prior. They're going to question him and see what his motives are, especially how he got the job to be security guard at the games. Obviously, this event is premeditated, so I'm sure the FBI, along with the police and other government agencies, are looking through his belongings, his house, and his connections to any terrorist organization as well.
This bombing has some relevancy to past events as well. The Oklahoma City bombing, to name one.
The Oklahoma bombing was perpetrated by Timothy McVeigh, and the bombing killed more than 150 and destroyed 1/3 of the building, as well as damaging blocks and blocks of buildings. It does not seem the bomb was as big as the one by Timothy McVeigh. However, as we learn more about the bomber Richard Jewell, we might find similarities between him and McVeigh, and maybe find similar motives or personality characteristics into why he carried out this bombing.
Yes, hopefully as the situation develops, we will find out more about the suspected bomber to give families an answer to why might this have happened. Thanks, Brad. We are now going live with Corey, who was with an athlete that was present at the bombing.
Hi, Francesca. I'm here with Damon Hart, who's part of the Olympic basketball team for the United States. So, Damon, can you tell us where you were when the bomb went off?
My game had finished a couple of days ago, so my teammates and I decided to go downtown to go celebrate the game. We were headed back to our hotel when we heard something that sounded like a cannon going off. There's a flash of blue light, but there was no smoke, so we were just kind of confused.
Must have been a very scary sight. So what did you do when you heard it?
I called my teammates back at the hotel and asked if they had heard anything, and they said they heard a loud explosion going off, and they were told by security that they had to stay in the building until they figured out what was going on. And at that point, we knew it couldn't be anything good, so we just ran back to the hotel as fast as we could.
And do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that everyone is okay. That if anything did happen, the Olympics is supposed to be a time for people to celebrate, the world globally as a community, and it's just really tragic that this happened,
Right. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you're doing okay.
Thank
and
you.
Back to you, Francesca.
Thanks, Corey. Again, we are live with breaking news reporting an explosion that occurred at Centennial Park in the Olympic Village earlier tonight. So far, we know that over 100 people have been injured, and the police have one suspect named Richard Jewell in custody. He was a security guard at the park during the time of the explosion, and investigators suspect that he may have been involved. We are now going to a press conference held by the Olympic Committee and Atlanta Summer Games Organization, who are going to comment about the horrific event that took place earlier tonight.
First of all, the games will go on. I repeat, the games will go on. As I speak now, everything from the operational standpoint is ready. Buses are rolling, the athletes have been notified, and the games today will go on. The second decision is that we will observe a moment of silence in the memory of the victims at all venues today. And the third decision taken by the IOC is that all Olympic flags will be lowered today at half-mast. Thank you.
We will consider it an act of terrorism until information should arrive to the contrary. We have now cordoned off the park area. We have brought specialists in dealing with explosives. We have brought an evidence response team in. Our explosive ordnance and evidence response people who are on the ground have begun the investigative effort, are also people that were involved in the bombing in New York and in Oklahoma City. They have a great deal of experience working these types of investigations.
We are going to operate our venues beginning on time. Our staff and volunteers have been notified to continue to operate. Our bus systems are now rolling to carry athletes to their competition. Meetings have been held with the chef de mission and their delegations, and the training and competition sites will open today as scheduled. We will ask for your patience in dealing with the obvious importance of security at a time like this.
And that was the IDOC saying that the games will go on and that extra security measures will be in effect. From all of us here at NBC, we send our thoughts and prayers to both those affected and the families of anyone who is also affected. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Francesca Carpinella. Good night. Robert Rudolph was arrested today, May 31st, without incident in his hometown of Murphy, North Carolina. He had been on the run from law enforcement officials and on the FBI's 10 most wanted list for almost 5 years. Rudolph pled guilty this morning to the 1996 to 1998 bombings at Olympic Park, a gay bar, and 2 abortion clinics, one in Atlanta, Georgia, and the other in Birmingham, Alabama, as well as 2 murders resulting from these bombings. The Olympic Park bombing killed a woman, and the Birmingham clinic bombing killed an off-duty police officer and seriously injured a nurse. Rudolph is serving life in prison. Corey, can you tell us a little about who Eric Rudolph is and why he did this?
Yeah, so Eric Rudolph is a 30-year-old male from Merritt Island, Florida, and he attended Western Carolina University from 1985 to 1986, then was enlisted in the Army from 1987 to 1989 until he was discharged for smoking marijuana. We don't know exactly much more about him, but as of 1989, he was working as a self-employed carpenter in Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, and Northern Georgia. It wasn't until 1996, though, that he started to become a threat, and he started using aliases like Bob Randolph and Bob Rudolph.
Thank you. There was a series of bombings in the next 2 years that he has been convicted of, starting with the Centennial Olympic Park bombing in Atlanta that occurred on July 27th of 1996 during the Summer Olympic Games. That killed 2. Since he has been proven guilty of 3 more bombings. On January 16, 1997, a bomb exploded at an abortion clinic in the Atlanta suburb of Sandy Springs. An hour later, a second bomb exploded. 7 people were injured. On February 21st, 1997, a bomb exploded at the Other Side Lounge, a lesbian nightclub in northeast Atlanta, injuring 4 people. Investigators found a second bomb before it detonated. A bomb hidden beneath a shrub exploded at the New Women All Women Clinic in Birmingham, Alabama. Robert Sanderson, a 35-year-old off-duty police officer working as a security guard, was killed. Nurse Emily Lyons, 41 years old, was seriously injured.
And so after the bombings at the gay nightclub and the Atlanta abortion clinic, media outlets received letters claiming credit for the attacks, which were supposedly from the Army of God. And excerpts from the letters included, the bombings in Sandy Springs and Midtown were carried out by units of the Army of God. Also, the abortion was a target of the first device. The murder of 3.5 million children every year would not be tolerated. Those who participate in any way in the murder of children may be targeted for the attack. The attack therefore serves as a warning. Anyone in or around facilities that murder children may become victims of retribution. The next facility targeted may not be empty. And death to the New World Order.
Now, Corey, this happened nearly 5 years ago. How did they find him, and why did it take so long?
Well, in January of 1998, police began looking for him after witnesses reported seeing his gray Nissan pickup near the Birmingham clinic before his blast. His truck was discovered in North Carolina, and from there, hundreds of law enforcement officers conducted a door-to-door search and combed the woods, but Rudolph was not found. In February of 1998, a federal warrant was issued charging Rudolph with the Birmingham shooting, but still, he was on the hunt, and in May of 1998, Rudolph was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted list. A $1 million reward was offered for information leading to his arrest, rather.
Thank you. Today, Officer Jeff Postal arrested Rudolph in his hometown. Good evening. We got word that today, April 13th, Centennial Olympic Park bomber Eric Rudolph pled guilty to the abortion clinic bombing as well as the 3 Atlanta area bombings in Georgia. He then released an 11-page statement blaming the violence on the legalization of abortion. Rudolph also denied that he is an anarchist. He has been sentenced to serve life imprisonment without parole. Thank you.